A fair coin's flipped 5 times, and we want to know what's greater, the probability of getting more heads than tails, or 0.5. There are 2 ways we can solve this. I want to show both of them to you. Even though one of these ways is super fast and the other is super slow, I think there's value in learning both ideas. Let's start with the slow way. To get more heads than tails, we're going to need at least 3 of our flips to come up heads. In other words, we need 3 of the 5 flips, or 4 of the 5 flips, or all 5 of the flips to come up heads. Now remember, anytime you're working with of probabilities, you're really working with combinations. So to get 3 of 5 heads, or 4 of 5 heads, or 5 of 5 heads, those are all little combinations that we can work out. For example, 5 flips, 3 heads, that means 2 are tails. Or again, if there's 5 flips and 4 are heads, that means 1 is tails. And of course, likewise, if there's 5 flips and all 5 are heads, that means 0 are tails. In the first setup, if we work out the math, we get 10 combinations. In the second setup, if we work out the math, we get 5 combinations. And in the last setup, if we work out the math, we get 1 combination. In other words, we have a total of 16 outcomes that give us more heads than tails. Well, how many possible outcomes are there? Remember, every time we flip this coin, there's 2 possible outcomes, a head and a tail. So with our first flip, there's 2 outcomes. And with our second flip, there's 2 more outcomes. And the same thing is true of all our flips. Every time we flip this coin, there are 2 outcomes. So how many total outcomes are there? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 32. There are 32 possible outcomes. Well, if that's the case, and there are 16 outcomes that give us more heads than tails, then we know the probability of getting more heads than tails should be 16 out of 32, which of course is a half, making the 2 quantities equal. Now, having gone through all that, there is of course a much faster way, which is this. Look, when we flip this coin 5 times, there's only really 2 possible outcomes. Either we get more heads than tails, or more tails than heads. We can't get the same number because there's 5 flips, meaning either more heads or more tails. And if that's the case, it's really a 50-50 shot that we get more heads than tails, in the same way it's a 50-50 shot that we get more tails than heads. And that is the proof, again, that the correct answer here has got to be C.